Welcome. So occasionally I delve into the ideas and poetry of Yoko Ono. I've said this before, but one of my favorite quotes to repeat to myself is something she said once, and I think it may have been a tweet, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's hard to know if it was a tweet based on an idea, but it's one sentence, and it's my religion is to trust myself. It's gotten me through a lot of sticky situations, or just comforted me even if I didn't need to be comforted. So sometimes I delve into her poetry because I think it's interesting and it's kind of absurd, but there's something really fascinating about it, the absurdity. It just kind of reminds me of how absurd everything is in a way. So I thought I'd read a couple of poems real quick and then just sort of talk about it, and maybe you all have some thoughts about it. So let's do that. Remember to subscribe below if you can. That's big. That's like currency, basically. Like it, that's a currency. And actual currency, if you want to go to patreon.com/arthouseradio and become a radio member, that's actual currency. So that's they're all worth gold to me. So if you can, that would be great. All right. First Yoko Ono piece. Snow piece from 1963, summer. Think that snow is falling. Think that snow is falling everywhere all the time. When you talk with a person, think that the snow is falling between you and on the other person. Stop conversing when you think the person is covered by snow. That's what I like about her, the absurdity of thinking that it's snowing when it's not snowing. What's the difference between that absurdity and the absurdity of life in general? The absurdity of going to an office or going to, I always pick on people in offices, but what about just the absurdity of creating an artwork thinking that you're doing something that's more valuable? That's absurd too. There's all kinds of absurdity. Being a tree climber is absurd. Fun. I don't mean absurd in a bad way, but just to think about the idea of snow falling like that, it's an interesting thought experiment, and I think that's what these are. These are thought experiments. She does a lot of that, where she'll just think. I'm just making this up, but so like think about an elephant and what you would call it, and then think what you'll have for dinner tonight with your new friend, like that kind of thing. Those are lovely thoughts. Why not? And then in some weird way, Dr. Joe Dispenza, which I'm working on an episode right now that'll be out later this week. It's pretty good. Maybe your brain will think, well, I really did have an elephant friend and we had macaroni and cheese. So, but that's when I first discovered those poems, a poem like this, it was the thing that sort of made me rethink Yoko Ono as being not just someone who got blamed for breaking up the Beatles, but she was doing interesting things in the 60s in New York, like hanging out with the best artists in the world, and doing all these interesting things in New York City lofts when people could afford them. Although maybe you might be able to afford them again here. Never know. All right, let's go to the second poem. Tape piece 3, snow piece. Take a tape of the sound of snow falling. This should be done in the evening. Do not listen to the tape. Cut it and use it as strings to tie gifts with. Make a gift wrapper, if you wish, using the same process with a phono sheet. 1963 autumn. This goes back to the episode 194 or 5 that I did about the coat that I was contemplating buying, and why that one felt good, and how everything has a memory, the Rupert Sheldrake idea. The idea that you could wrap something with a piece of tape or film, if it's shot on film or something, and it could contain these experiences, or these memories of experiences, or literal sounds of, like, say, snow falling or whatever field recording you want to do. The difference between that and then just a regular ribbon could be fantastically enormous. It reminds me also of Karlheinz Stockhausen, and I think I played this clip where he talked about creating new sounds. He was a German composer. He wrote that piece, Contact, I think it's called, for string quartet and helicopters. And he talked about creating new sounds and how if you could take Beethoven's Ninth and squish it down to 1 second, so it's just like bop, but you didn't lose like it didn't change pitch. So if you could somehow find a way to compress it and just make it like a quick little second hit, you've created a new sound. And then if you did that with all of his symphonies, you'd have 9 new sounds. So you could create a work based on those sounds, but it would be standing on the shoulders of previous inventions, so to speak. And that's what this reminds me of. The idea that you get a gift from Yoko Ono where she taped snow falling, the sound of it, and wrapped it and then gave it to you. There's something different happening with that gift. I don't know if people would be able to pick on it, but it's the same thing with my coat idea too. I touch the coat, I feel like there's something here. There's something interesting. Maybe somebody stitched the coat together. You know, I don't know how they make coats, but stitched it together, crocheted it, whatever. And at the end they held it and just said, may this person have all their dreams come true or something. And then they sort of out into the world, and then here somebody comes along and grabs it and is like, this coat feels right. I don't know. It's interesting to think about. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of these 2 poems. I think they're great. I like the idea of them anyway. If you have a favorite Yoko poem, put it below. Sometimes it's just one sentence, singular. And yeah, so thanks for watching. Remember, this is the Roadkill Project. I'm on the road. I'm in Big Sur, California, in a cabin. Probably one of the best places I've stayed, just like in terms of being surrounded by redwoods and the ocean, the mighty Pacific, and all that. So patreon.com/arthouseradio. You can follow everywhere at arthouse.radio on Instagram. I'm Spaces with Light. I'll see you on the next episode, and maybe on the other places that I just mentioned and the internet. Okay.